My name's Joe Biden. I work for Kamala Harris. I asked her to be my vice president because I knew I needed somebody smarter than me.
It's not funny anymore. You know, it's Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in America. All right, it's a mouthful. But this is the month that's set aside to honor the contributions of Asian Americans in our society. It's always uncomfortable when a Democrat's in the White House during this because, Democrats love Franklin Roosevelt. And there's that whole messy business with interning Japanese American citizens who were actually native-born American citizens who just happened to be of Japanese descent during World War II. That's what Roosevelt did. You remember, put them in prison camps because of their race. Yeah, Democrats have a lot of cleanup work to do there. It didn't help much yesterday at the White House when Joe Biden appeared with Kamala Harris, who, by the way, has Indian heritage. That falls under the category of Asian American Pacific Islanders Natives Month. And so he and Kamala had plenty to say. Let's start with Joe Biden admitting who's really running the show over there at 1600 Pennsylvania.
My name's Joe Biden. I work for Kamala Harris. I asked her to be my vice president because I knew I needed somebody smarter than me.
Now, first of all, that's a really low bar, and I'm not so sure Kamala Harris actually clears it. But can we just dispense with this? I know he thinks that it's funny and humble and self-deprecating and, oh, golly gee shucks. But here's the thing. Your brain is broken. Your brain is full of mashed potatoes. You can't walk across the lawn, let alone up or down a flight of stairs. You can't read a teleprompter. You don't know where you are at any given moment when you're done with the speech and you turn left, turn right. I have no idea where I'm supposed to go to leave the stage. You barely work at all. It's not funny anymore when you point out to the rest of the world what we all know to be true, and that somebody else is actually doing things, and you work for them, not the other way around. Trust me, it's not funny, and actually, given the state of affairs right now, it freaks us the up. All right. But he wasn't done. Remember how I mentioned that he can't read a teleprompter? Well, here's a couple of joyful moments that we can all share together. Here's your president, Joe Biden, at war with the English language.
It matters now nearly 40% of AANHPI students rely on Pell Grants to get to college.
It's a very, very simple acronym there. AANHPI. Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders, AANHPI, and it's actually spelled out on the teleprompter, letter by letter, AANHPI.
It matters now nearly 40% of NHPI students.
Did you get that? It's a stutter, don't you know? That's the problem. It's a stutter, just like here.
There is no singular Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander identity and diversity in those cultures, the breadth of achievement, and shape the strength and fabric of this country.
Can I just read you what he thinks he just said? Because we have the transcript of the speech. This is the sentence that Joe Biden just delivered. There is no singular Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander identity and diversity and those cultures, the breadth of achievement, and shape the strength and fabric of this country. If we were to diagram that sentence, our brains would explode. There is no singular Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander identity and diversity and those cultures, the breadth of achievement, and shape the strength and fabric of this country. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself.
There is no singular Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander identity and diversity in those cultures, the breadth of achievement, and shape the strength and fabric of this country.
There goes that damn stutter again. It's all just a stutter, everybody. His brain is not full of mashed potatoes. He is fully capable of reading the English words put in front of him on a teleprompter, the sign of the scoreboard at Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium. No. It's just a stutter, okay? Now stop asking about it. Oh, and then there was this.
The KAMALA are going to keep fighting to restore Roe v. Wade until it's the law of the land again.
By the way,
The
why is this an issue with Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders? Why are we having an event celebrating Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Month, and we suddenly start talking about killing babies? But did you hear the very beginning of this where he refers to the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris? Listen.
The KAMALA are going to keep fighting to restore Roe v. Wade until it's the law of the land again.
I'm sorry. Who? You're going to work with who now?
The KAMALA are going to keep fighting to restore.
Did he say Kamala? That's odd. I mean, I remember a day when pronouncing her name that way was racist.
But it was treated as an act of bigotry, a grave offense against the honor of a sitting U.S. senator. CNN was outraged. With all the things going on in the world today, they wanted you to know that someone out there had mispronounced Kamala Harris's name.
I want you to listen to how Tucker Carlson, the best he could do was to somehow mangle her name. Listen.
Just tell Kamala Harris what to say, and she will say it. That is the whole point of Kamala Harris.
I call him Schmucker Carlson, but it's an ethnic term, so he might not understand.
But then at the end, it's laughable because he's like, or whatever. So it's like, no, it's not whatever. It is about you having to finally face what you have done to this country, to Black people, to Black women. There's nothing or whatever about this moment.
So, but the bottom line is, look, any criticism of Kamala Harris is immoral. Anyone who so much as mispronounces her name is a racist. That's what they're telling you. So with that in mind, pretty amusing to watch old Joe Biden himself mispronounce Kamala Harris's name today. Watch.
I told him I wanted to be the last person in the room before he made important decisions. That's what I asked Kamala.
So there you go. He does it all the time. And he just did it again yesterday.
The KAMALA are going to keep fighting to restore Roe v. Wade.
Where's everybody wringing their hands now? Where's everybody screaming racism? Where's everybody? Well, we know where they are. We know exactly where they are. That said, Kamala Harris did have plenty to say at another event, again, celebrating Asian Pacific Islanders. Take a listen to what she had to say. And if there are any kids in the room right now, I'm sorry in advance, but it's just the Vice President of the United States talking.
We have to know that sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that door down. Excuse my language.
Oh, the laugh. Excuse my language, like it just slipped out. This is so programmed and so planned and so scripted and so test marketed as everything is with this manufactured presidency and certainly this manufactured vice president. I was told that decency was on the ballot last election. I was told that this kind of vulgar profanity is not normal, with the clapping emoji. I was told that people were literally shaking because they couldn't sit with their own child to watch the president or vice president of the United States because something vulgar could be coming out of their mouths. Remember all of the things they said about Donald Trump? I said vice president. I'm thinking Mike Pence wouldn't have said anything like this. But do you remember how this is not normal, people? We need to bring decency back to the White House. Remember how the idiot Colin Jost is his name from Saturday Night Live Weekend Update at the White House Correspondents' Dinner? My dad was a Republican, but before he died, my grandpa, But before he died, he voted for you, Joe Biden, because you're a decent man, right? It's all about decency, all about decency. We got to have decency. We're going to restore decency and dignity because everything that what Donald Trump did was broken. So how's that decency working out?
We have to know that sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that door down.
By the way, Kamala Harris had lots of doors opened up for her during her entire career. Does anybody out there not think at this point that being half Black, half Asian, and a woman is in fact an advantage in most cases? I mean, hell, you could even, if the best thing is if you're half Black, half Asian, a man, but you identify as a woman. Now at this point, every door is open. You don't have to kick down any effing doors. Every single door is opened up and the red carpet is rolled out for you. And yes, in Kamala Harris's career, over the decades, those doors were open and she walked right through those doors, sometimes on her knees, but she still walked through those doors. That was gratuitous. Where's the lie? Oh, and one other thing about all of this grandstanding over kicking down those doors for Asian Americans because Asian Americans are being held back by the man. It's true that Asian Americans are facing discrimination right now. It's true that doors are being shut to Asian Americans in this country right now as we speak. Who's shutting those doors? Who's putting up those walls and those barriers for Asian Americans? Harvard. The admissions department at Harvard, or every state school. I can attest to the UC schools being this way. Private schools, high schools, public high school education right here in the DC area. One of the top rated high schools in America, Thomas Jefferson High School, changed their admissions program to embrace equity because there were too many Asians there. See, the Asian Americans are getting admitted into all of these great schools because they've been working their asses off. Their parents have instilled in them a work ethic and a focus to value education and value their time so that it's spent not watching music videos on YouTube or playing video games, but to actually focus on your studies first, because lack of success academically would not be tolerated in that family or in their culture. So they're excelling in academics. And so who's slamming the door in their face? The elites, liberal, leftist, Marxist elites personified by Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, where they are slamming the door in the face of Asian Americans to keep them out of those places of higher learning because they're guilty of being the wrong race. So if there are doors that need to be kicked the F down, the doors were put up, constructed, and locked by Democrats like Kamala Harris. One last word here. Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, we saw him a little earlier speaking outside the courthouse in Manhattan. He's on a short list right now to be running mate for Donald Trump, and a lot of smart, powerful people in D.C. keep throwing his name out there as the person they'd like to see Donald Trump select as his running mate. Well, given the prospect of him being the running mate, he would be debating Kamala Harris should he be chosen. So Jesse Waters asked him yesterday about it.
Joe Biden, I mean, people talk about you on the ticket. Joe Biden has his ticket set. It's Kamala. Here is the ticket. Watch.
My name is Joe Biden. I work for Kamala Harris. I asked her to be my vice president because I knew I needed somebody smarter than me.
We have to know that sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that door down. Excuse my language.
Okay. Is she talking about if they are reelected, she's just going to kick that door down to the Oval?
Could be. I don't know. Maybe Joe's in there with all the ice cream and she can't.
He loves 2 scoops. What do you make of these two?
Well, I think that Vice President Harris has accomplished one thing, which is she's managed to be less popular than the least popular
It's
president
true.
in history.
It's quite an accomplishment for Kamala or Mamala or whatever they call her. Doug Burgum, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
We'll let him have the last word. But I gotta tell you, they really are pushing Doug Burgum. I don't know. What do you think? If you think Doug Burgum's the man to be Trump's running mate, why don't you put it in the comments for this video? Or if you disagree, put that down there too. Either way, you got to be impressed with the eyebrow game. Those are some serious eyebrows on that man. I find that impressive.